Hi everyone, I'm Christine of the Philadelphia Eagles Cheerleaders, and today I'm going to be showing you how to get a flawless complexion. So before we start, it is so important to keep in mind to drink a lot of water and take off your makeup every single night, because that is what is going to be underneath, and healthy skin is what is going to give you that flawless complexion overall. So we're going to start off with a primer. I'm using the Professional. This is the matte one because I do tend to get oily, especially on game days and just if you're going to have your makeup on for a long time. I'm just going to be applying that with my fingers and focusing on the center of my face. This also will be a barrier for your skin to protect it from the foundation that you're putting on. So this will be in your skin instead of all the foundation. So next is foundation. So I use the Born This Way in the shade Warm Beige. I've been using this foundation for so long. So we're just going to be applying that with a beauty blender all over the skin. Use patting motions with this and don't smear. I also find that the beauty blender is the best thing to apply foundation for me because it creates an even surface and takes off any excess if you put on too much. Also be sure to work it into the hairline so you're not wearing a mask. Okay, now that we have our base, we're going to go into concealer. None of us can get 8 hours of sleep, let's be real, so you have to cover it up and fake it till you make it. So I like to start off with a yellow concealer. It really brightens up that under eye area, and I will also be using another concealer on top of this. I'm going to focus more on the darker parts. And next up, I'm going to be using the Naked Skin Concealer. This is the lightest shade that they have because I love a bright under eye, and I'm going to be doing an upside down triangle underneath my eye. I will also be putting that underneath my nose, a little bit on my Cupid's bow, on my chin, tip of my nose, a little bit on the bridge, and then also on my forehead. Going back in with the Beauty Blender again. I find that using a light tapping motion really helps the product spread evenly, and using the pointy side of the Beauty Blender to get really close under your eye. And then after that's all done, I use the back of the Beauty Blender where we put our foundation and just kind of blend that out to make sure that we're not looking crazy. All right, so now that we faked a full night's rest, we're going to set the powder. I use the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, and I will go in with the sponge that you can purchase along with it. And you're gonna take a lot of powder and just pack it on underneath your eye. I will also take powder and put it around my nose, along everywhere basically where we put the concealer. So now that we waited and baked our face, we are going to take a small brush and just kind of brush off the excess. You don't want to brush off all of it because then that kind of defeats the purpose. So just lightly brush. And then I'll take whatever is left on the brush and kind of go over where we're going to put our contour to make sure that it's not blotchy. All right, next up is contour. I take this small brush. It's actually perfect for contouring because it fits right there. And I use this NYX contour palette, and I take this shade right here. Looks like chocolate, so the shade that you use is gonna vary based on your skin tone. You can be lighter, darker. You don't wanna go too dark because then you'll look a little crazy. A little trick for if you're wanting to look youthful, don't take your contour out too far. The further you go will create more of a masculine, more mature look. So I always like to keep it right up here. And another tip is to always blend upwards and never go down. I'm also going to be taking that along the sides of my nose. And on the temples of my forehead. Also take a little bit under the jawline. And last place is I do a little bit underneath the lip to give the illusion of fuller lips. So just make sure that that's all blended out. Next up is bronzer. I love bronzer. and having a bronze look overall. That's what I do day to day, on game day, basically for everything. So I use this Betty Luminizer, and it is just very loved dark bronzer, and it's shimmery. Not everyone goes for a shimmer bronzer, but I personally like it. It creates a nice glow. Just putting that on the outside perimeter of our face. And you also want to make sure that you're blending this into your hairline. I'm also going to be taking a little bit for the tip of the nose to make it look like we just got back from the beach. And I'm going to be taking a second bronzer as well. It's almost the same color, a little bit different. It has a little bit more gold in it. And I think using a couple different bronzers really creates that custom look for you. Next up is blush. I use this pinky blush. It is by the same brand as my second bronzer, Milani. And I use this brush. This is actually a brush that I used in Disney World for being a Disney princess, so can't get rid of it. Just put this on the apples of your cheeks. And a little bit where we put that bronzer as well. All right, now to kind of clean up underneath, we're gonna go back in with the baking powder. And just put a line underneath where we contoured. Now this isn't something that you would wanna do on a day-to-day basis because it does look more extreme. This is more for maybe a night out or game day or performance for photos. Okay, while that bakes, I'm going to take my highlighter. This is a Sephora brand in the shade Stardust, and it is just a gold highlighter. And I take a foundation brush. I find that using a more dense, packed brush helps really apply that product. So I put it right on the tip of my nose, up on my cheekbones, and kind of bring that up towards my eye, like almost a C shape. I will also take that on my cupid's bow and a little bit on the top of my forehead and down the bridge of my nose just a little bit. All right, now we're gonna wipe off what we put underneath our contour, and this will really just help clean everything up so it's not so harsh. Now, one of the steps that I take every single day is using a facial spray. So really any type of hydrating mist. It can be rose water, they have cucumber water, really whatever your personal preference is. Anything that mists will work. So that will really help take away all that excess powder residue and really create a flawless finish. And I go overboard with it because that's what's gonna make it stay. And afterwards, I'll take a beauty blender and just kind of pat over to really make sure that there's no excess powder. So that was how to achieve a flawless face. Thank you so much for watching, and leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions for future videos.